All right, those of you just joining us, we are looking at. There we go. We are looking at a live feed from Indiana. Ted Cruz meet and greeting Indiana residents. Today is a big day. It is primary day.
Not subject for negotiation, and within hours I put out a statement commending to that, particularly with the chaos in Syria. You can't have the Golan Heights in the hands of enemies of Israel. Exactly right.
It's the church I go to.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Pray for you every day.
Thank you for your prayers, and we're lifted up. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Hey, how you doing?
This is my son Ben. God bless you, sir.
Good to see you.
My wife Debbie, she's back here.
Debbie, come join us. God bless you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hi, I have a question. I was wondering where you stand on homosexual rights.
Look, I am a strong supporter of marriage as the union of one man and one woman. And under the Constitution, marriage is a question for the state. The Supreme Court doesn't have the authority to take that away from the elected legislature of the people. I think it should be for the state legislatures to decide marriage and to protect it.
My son's gay, but I've never had to deal with this issue a lot. I'm trying to form a faith-based support group for parents here. Not with a group in Indiana. I want to meet with a group in Indianapolis, not with a group in Canada. I think it's a real need. Because there aren't many faith-based support groups. Let's celebrate it.
Sure. Well, thank you for your struggle. Thank you for everything.
I totally agree with the Bible. It's just how we treat people.
Well, and treat everyone with respect.
Exactly.
I mean, that is a universal.
My views have changed a lot. I've become a lot more accepting of loving. I don't think it's wrong with serving, something for I wouldn't lead. I wouldn't go that far. Somebody's going to take my tree. No, you're going to be easy. So it's up to know it's a big issue.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Sir?
Senator Cruz, Josh and I come here. Josh, good to see you. Yeah, you too. Thanks for coming out here.
Thank you for coming and joining us.
I'm a small business owner.
Terrific. What kind of business?
Construction.
Very good.
Construction, but I'm actually leaving it behind and going to missions over in China. And,
praise God.
Yeah, and as I familiarize myself more with communism, how it started, and I see, can I just say, I'm so thankful we've got a God-fearing, humble man who values our Constitution and stands for conservative values. I'm just ever more appreciative of you, and I'm really thankful I can put my vote, I already have this morning, behind the guy I stand behind.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Josh.
Can I get a selfie? Yeah. Take a picture of that Thank you, sir. Thank you, Senator. We pray for you.
How are you doing?
Jenny Johnston.
Hey, Jenny.
This is my daughter Paige,
Hey, Paige.
and
How
we
old
are
are you, Paige?
homeschoolers.
9.
Yes, and we just want to thank you for your conservative views, and we just thank you so much for just being a good guy. We're praying for you.
Thank you, and thank you for the time and energy you put into homeschooling. It makes an enormous difference.
Thank you so much. Could we get a picture
Yeah, of
with
course.
you? Bless your heart. Thank you. Would you take
Yes, dear. Here.
Thank you.
Okay, ready?
Did you look at her camera?
1, 2. Oh, I got that light. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Press.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
We're
you very
voting for
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Carly. Great
Thank
day.
you so much.
Hi, little chief.
We're not real pushy, so.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Garrett.
Hi, Garrett. Hi. Thank you.
Charlie voted for you this morning.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You mind signing this afterwards?
Sure.
Garrett.
Look at him. Look at you.
Thank you, sir. This is one's been well loved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Look at him.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
out behind you.
How are you doing?
Oh, great. Nice to meet
See
you.
you. Thank you for being here. Want me to sign that?
There's us. This is my workout for the day.
You don't blow on me. Thank you. Are you doing that because I'm hot here? Okay, stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very much.
coming.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Ready for practice.
Well, thank you. Thank you for standing up. We're going to do it together.
Thank you. That's right.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to put you down.
We're working to do it. It's going to take every one of us.
Yes, please. Come on, Ann, I want to get into it. You know what? Let this lady behind you get it.
Can you grab it out of her bag?
It's in this one. No,
Thank you. Got it. Thank you very much.
no, it's in the bag. Hi. I'm going to put them down so I can shake your hand.
How are you doing? It's a good workout.
Yeah, it is. It's good for the biceps and triceps. So we are praying for you.
Thank you very much.
This is Davian.
Hi.
And he's got a picture to sign. Here you go.
Thank you. How old are you? You're 4. Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
I don't know how to turn our camera on. For him. I'm praying for his family.
Thank you for your prayer.
And that's Elia. Just touch the screen.
How old are you?
What are you?
5. Awesome. For getting my daughter Catherine. I think 5 is a great age, and I think 4 is a great age.
She was praying the other day while we were eating, and she said, by herself. Just touch the screen. Oh, thank you. You want to get that's a good idea. Can we take a picture with you, everybody? Sure. Here, Dina, just touch
Here,
the
Bruce
screen.
can do it right
okay,
here.
just touch the screen. Smile, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we're ready.
Thank you.
My job right there. That looks like that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the investment of time. Because it makes an enormous difference in your life, but it's not easy.
Up high.
And you as well. Thank you for your prayers.
Ready? Got it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Let's get through so other people can talk to us, okay? Come on, David.
I'm storming. I got it. It's okay. It's the best president I've ever seen. Right here.
Been on board since you guys made the
Right there.
announcement.
This gentleman gets to
So excited to see you.
Well, we're going to do it together.
Can we get pictures real quick? Give you guys some space once we get out of here. Thank you.
I'm just so glad to get to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to Evansville and this place. I think you become the greatest president ever, and I'm just so glad that you are here. I've already voted for you today. When you get your right here.
God bless you. God bless you.
Mind if I get a picture of yours?
That's my I was at the ones to meet you.
Oh, terrific. Can we get a picture with you? Of course,
My daughter and I.
Here, come on. Close quarters up there.
Thank you very much.
Very much. God bless you.
Hey, we'll check with you on the way.
Hi, I want to let you know that I've been supporting you since all the campaign started. Yes. I was just wondering one thing. I haven't seen a lot of it, watching only C-SPAN of your policies on people that are blind. What changes were you hoping to make?
I mean, it's an enormous challenge, and you know, we need to expand treatment for people. And I think a lot of that is interwoven with health care. A lot of it takes away a lot of people's health care. It means they can't get coverage to get treatment. And so I think what we need to do instead is heal about it. Allow people to buy health insurance across state lines and drive down costs. Expand medical savings accounts, save in a tax advantage way for health care needs, and then also cut the link between health insurance and employment. So the policy travels with you from job to job to job, because if people can't afford treatment, they can't.
That would be wise, because I saw a Republican speaking on C-SPAN about his bullet points on how to change it, and I guess that they're from the 15th to the 30th, they're in a home, but then at the beginning of the month they get put out into an emergency room. So he's saying some of our policies, and they also are the only ones that get met with policemen instead of a paramedic. And I think there are things. We both have a mentally ill relative, and I believe our Americans should be sheltered and not harmed, but I also believe that we don't want to see our siblings on the streets either. So I read a lot on it since Kennedy wrote his book, and unfortunately his dad fought a lot against him, and he's doing his best to try to bring it into a more secure environment. So anyway, I agree with all your issues on immigration. I spoke to your wife on education. I didn't know what the First Lady might want to do, and so I just spoke with her. But yes, I
God
agree.
bless you, and thank you for standing up to me.
Oh, I already did change a few minds inside of my new family, too.
Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir. How you doing? Good to see you.
Because I don't want to kill her. I want to
Do it together. Thank you.
Go try and get to it.
I know.
You're well protected. If anything happens, it won't happen.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a song. Probably. Oh, I'm sorry. Your turn.
I just slide back at her and you guys the gentleman there will take his picture. There's a guy there who will take his picture that works for him. It's right behind him right there. If you want him to, yeah. Yeah, the gentleman right there with the cruise vest. Or all right.
Sorry. Can I steal some from you?
You got your pot up? Okay. He's coming through.
Where the guy here, so.
Sorry.
Right now.
That's what's going to turn on.
It is. Our healing comes from the soul, the mind, the heart, and the body. And I appreciate you saying that. I know you got a battle with the judges. We write the laws and when we get to speaking.
God bless you, sir.
Smith, please do us a favor. Leave us a little bit of a pathway through here to walk. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how do you know Perry?
He's a good friend of mine. He's a pastor, and I'm so am I. And I've been here. He's always doing great things about you. So.
Thank you very much. I've known him a long
Oh
time.
yeah, he said you're a great man. He said you're a good basketball player too.
Well, now he's being kind because he's a heck of a lot better ball player than I am. But we spent many an afternoon playing ball.
Oh, great.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
We'll try to get out of your way. I'm sorry. Yeah, essentially, if you just hang tight right there.
Thank you very much.
You want a picture, sir? Give us a little bit of a walkway through here for us, please. Thank you, sir. Check the meeting.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Thank you.
You mentioned it like you were there.
Charlene, Ellis, take it.
Brother was
Oh, yes. VA 27. Ends up here.
Thank you for stepping forward.
It'll help a lot. We're going to walk right through here. Excellent.
God bless.
There you go. There you go. Sorry, they don't charge me a picture.
Thank you very much. You want to get a picture?
Please.
Thank you. How old?
Just scoot back just a little bit. Is there a table there? Let these folks be able to get out. Thank you. Keep moving.
Thank you. What's your name?
Jonathan Fifth. I'm former CR president of the local chapter. Actually, we'll be running the CR.
Somebody
for a while.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your leave.
Thank you.
God bless you.
A couple steps back for us, please. Just a little bit of breathing room. Thank you.
couple more steps back.
You getting dressed?
Step back. Couple steps back.
Look at me, Ann.
I have his back.
You have his back. You'll never
You got his back.
Got his back.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
Here, Bruce will take it right here. Amen.
Excuse me, our waitresses are trying to get through. Please go back to your table.
Italian effort.
Can you see her? My wife's right there.
Oh, sorry.
My wife? It's my wife right here. It's my wife. Please don't grab hold of me, okay? Okay, sorry. Thank you. I'm her husband over there. Yeah, we appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you.
We're voting for you. We're listed. Jody, you want to get the picture? Jody, why don't you this?
Here, Hoppy and Bruce will take it right here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, good luck. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay. Stand right. They moved it there. They moved right far. Stand right. Sam did.
Here, Bruce will take it right here. You Hoppy too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're about to have to
Yeah, you just have to ask him.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's right here.
All part of the campaign.
You know what to do. Yeah.
Well, you know what, they've been deceived. They've been deceived and they're angry and they don't understand they've been deceived. Thank you. God bless you.
Pray for you every day.
Thank you very much.
Sign the front two, Steve, for framing.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Let me get a quick picture with you, sir.
Putting my hand out so he doesn't appear.
Sure. Come on, man.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it.
You know it?
Shotgun right here. Press anybody.
I was at United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
We was actually in we had C1 firefighter in the airport.
Well, yours
You
came
guys
out
got
good.
it good.
That's good. I got nothing but glare.
You have my phone number, right?
Yeah, I'm going to text you.
Okay. You know what? That phone.
I'm getting
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, sorry.
No, I don't think it's going to work.
They're coming out.
Easter, I won't say
Don't know how the schedule's being filled just yet.
Okay.
But it's front Anaheim, on the stadium.
Actually, Anaheim's not.
It is.
No, you're fine.
All right, guys, it looks like this feed is cutting in and out, so what I'm going to do is take you to the press conference that Ted Cruz and Carly Fiorina had held just before they went to this live meet and greet.
Say was just amazing. And the warmth, the graciousness, the hospitality, the passion that we've seen from Hoosiers has been incredible. Men and women across this state who love our nation, who love America, who are scared of the path we're on, who want to change the direction we're on. And we have been spending every waking moment working to earn the support of the men and women of the state. Looking them in the eye, shaking their hands, asking for their support, answering their questions. That's what the democratic process is all about. That's how it's supposed to operate. Now it's election day. Now it's in the hands of the voters. And I could not be more gratified that the Midwestern good judgment and common sense of Hoosiers is going to decide the direction of this entire primary, decide what path the Republican Party goes down, what path the nation goes down. And it's now in the hands of the people of Indiana.
Senator, even your own campaign is skeptical about your chances here tonight. California doesn't look much better for you. Is your campaign stalling out?
Well, I appreciate that very kind question, Hallie, and appreciate your putting a bright smile on it. Listen, it's up to the voters. It is up to the people of Indiana. It is up to the men and women of this state. I will say this. This morning, Donald Trump went on national television and attacked my father. Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK. Now, let's be clear. This is nuts. This is not a reasonable position. This is just kooky. And while I'm at it, I guess I should go ahead and admit, yes, my dad killed JFK. He is secretly Elvis, and Jimmy Hoffa is buried in his backyard. You know, Donald's source for this is the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer is tabloid trash, but it's run by his good friend David Pecker, the CEO, who's endorsed Donald Trump. And so the National Enquirer has become his hit piece that he uses to smear anybody and everybody. And this is not the first time. Donald Trump has used David Pecker's National Enquirer to go after my family. It was also the National Enquirer that went after my wife Heidi. That just spread lies, blatant lies. But I guess Donald was dismayed because it was a couple of weeks ago the Enquirer wrote this idiotic story about JFK. And Donald was dismayed that the folks in the media weren't repeating this latest idiocy, so he figured he'd have to do it himself. He'd have to go on national television and accuse my dad of that. Listen, my father has been my hero my whole life. My dad was imprisoned and tortured in Cuba, and when he came to America, he had nothing. He had $100 in his underwear. He washed dishes making 50 cents an hour. You know, he's exactly the kind of person Donald Trump looks down on. I'm going to do something I haven't done for the entire campaign. For those of y'all who have traveled with me all across the country, I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. And in a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook, his response is to accuse everybody else of lying. He accuses everybody on that debate stage of lying. And it's simply a mindless yell. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. Donald Trump is such a narcissist that Barack Obama looks at him and goes, dude, what's your problem? Everything in Donald's world is about Donald. And he combines being a pathological liar. And I say pathological because I actually think Donald, if you hooked him up to a lie detector test, he could say one thing in the morning, one thing at noon, and one thing in the evening, all contradictory, and he'd pass the lie detector test each time. Whatever lie he's telling, at that minute, he believes it. But the man is utterly amoral. Let me finish this, please. The man is utterly amoral. Morality does not exist for him. It's why he went after Heidi directly and smeared my wife, attacked her. Apparently, she's not pretty enough for Donald Trump. I may be biased, but I think if he's making that allegation, he's also legally blind. But Donald is a bully. You know, we just visited with fifth graders. Every one of us knew bullies in elementary school. Bullies don't come from strength. Bullies come from weakness. Bullies come from a deep, yawning cavern of insecurity. There is a reason Donald builds giant buildings and puts his name on them everywhere he goes. And I will say, there are millions of people in this country who are angry. They're angry at Washington. They're angry at politicians who've lied to them. I understand that anger. I share that anger. And Donald is cynically exploiting that anger. And he is lying to his supporters. Donald will betray his supporters on every issue. If you care about immigration, Donald is laughing at you. And he's telling the moneyed elites he doesn't believe what he's saying. He's not going to build a wall. That's what he told the New York Times. He will betray you on every issue across the board. And his strategy of being a bully, in particular, is directed at women. Donald has a real problem with women. People who are insecure. People who are insecure about who they are. Donald is terrified by strong women. He lashes out at them. Remember, this is the same Donald Trump who last week here in Indiana proudly touted the endorsement from Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist who served 3 years in prison here in Indiana for raping a 17-year-old girl. And in Donald's world, he said Mike Tyson was a tough guy. I don't think rapists are tough guys. I spent a lot of years in law enforcement dealing with rapists. Rapists are weak, they are cowards, and they're bullies. And anyone that thinks they're a tough guy, that reveals everything about Donald Trump's character. Donald Trump said Bill Clinton was targeted by unattractive women. You know what? I've been blessed to be surrounded by strong women my entire life. Today is voting day here in Indiana. The President of the United States has a bully pulpit unlike anybody else. The President of the United States affects our culture. I ask the people of Indiana, think about the next 5 years if this man were to become president. Think about the next 5 years. The boasting, the pathological lying, the picking up the National Enquirer and accusing people of killing JFK, the bullying. Think about your kids coming back and emulating this. For people in Indiana who long for a day when we were nice to each other, when we treated people with respect, when we didn't engage in sleaze and lies. And I would note one of the lies he engages in, listen, Donald Trump is a serial philanderer, and he boasts about it. This is not a secret. He's proud of being a serial philanderer. I want everyone to think about your teenage kids. The President of the United States talks about how great it is to commit adultery, how proud he is. Describes his battles with venereal disease as his own personal Vietnam. That's a quote, by the way, on the Howard Stern show. Do you want to spend the next 5 years with your kids bragging about infidelity? Now, what does he do? He does the same projection. Just like a pathological liar, he accuses everyone of lying. Even though he boasts about his infidelity, he plants in David Pecker's National Enquirer a lie about me and my family, attacking my family. He accuses others of doing what he is doing. I'll tell you, as the father of 2 young girls, the idea of our daughters coming home and repeating any word that man says horrifies me. That is not who America is. And I would say to the Hoosiers, the entire country is depending on you. The entire country is looking to you right now. It is only Indiana that can pull us back. It is only the good sense and good judgment of Indiana that can pull us back. We are staring at the abyss. And I have incredible faith in Hoosiers.
Why isn't your message resonating with people here today? You were up 2 weeks ago. Trump is at 15 points now. You're saying all these things about him. Why is his message resonating and yours isn't?
Well, let's be clear. Actually, the polling has been all over the map. Just 3 days ago, there was a poll that showed me up. But I will note that the mainstream media is doing everything they can to convince Hoosiers this race is over. So they only report on the poll showing Donald Trump. You don't report on the poll showing me.
Which poll's showing up?
There was a poll just 3 days ago here in Indiana that was done that showed me up by double digits. But listen, there is also a broader dynamic. There is a broader dynamic at work, which is network executives have made a decision to get behind Donald Trump. Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes at Fox News have turned Fox News into the Donald Trump network. 24/7. Now, Rupert Murdoch is used to picking world leaders in Australia and the United Kingdom running tabloids. And we're seeing it here at home, well, the consequences for this nation. Media executives are trying to convince Hoosiers, trying to convince Americans the race is decided. You have no choice. You are stuck between Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, either one of which is a horrific choice for this country. And I will say the cynicism, and Donald's playing on the cynicism. He lets the media echoes that he cannot be beat. You know what? Hoosiers can prove that wrong. The people of Indiana can prove that wrong. And the country is depending on Indiana. If Indiana does not act, this country could well plunge into the abyss. I don't believe that's who we are. We are not a proud, boastful, self-centered, mean-spirited, hateful, bullying nation. If you want to understand Donald Trump, look no further than the interview he did a few months ago in Iowa, where he was asked a very simple question. When's the last time you asked God for forgiveness? And Donald Trump said he had never asked God for forgiveness for anything. I want you to think about that. What does that say about a person? I've asked God for forgiveness 3 times today. Think about your children. Do you want your children coming home and saying, Mommy, I don't need to ask God for forgiveness for anything. Why? Because Donald Trump doesn't, and if he doesn't, and everyone likes him, all the media praises him, I don't need to either. I love this nation with all my heart. I love the people of this country. This is not who we are. These are not our values. If anyone has seen the movie Back to the Future 2, the screenwriter says that he based the character Biff Tannen on Donald Trump. A caricature of a braggadocious, arrogant buffoon who builds giant casinos with giant pictures of him everywhere he looks. We are looking, potentially, at the Biff Tannen presidency. I don't think the people of America want that. I don't think we deserve that. I don't think Hoosiers want that.
in light of what
Senator,
you're
these
saying.
are some of the strongest words you've used against Donald Trump yet. You know I've been with you. I've heard you talk about him. Today feels different for you. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to say I sound like a broken record, and you're going to say that Donald Trump
But
did
if you
not
sound
get
like
to
a broken
1237.
record, someone else have a question?
But no, but Senator, why
You've
not
asked
say
one already, Hallie. You've asked one
Will
already.
you support him as the
Senator
nominee?
Cruz, you
I don't
talk
understand
about-
one answer.
we talk about the judgment
If you
of
say he's
the
a
middle
liar,
of
Jeff, I'm
it.
sorry, but if you say he's a pathological liar, and you say that you can't,
Hallie, you've asked one already.
well, why not
Go
definitively say
ahead,
it?
yes.
Senator, when you talk about Midwestern values and common sense and a good judgment, if Indiana, if Hoosiers don't pick you today, does that make you reconsider things in a different way than when the Northeast voted and you could say that was Trump's neighbors voting?
Listen, there is no doubt this Indiana primary has national significance. The media is trying desperately to convince you it's over. I'll tell you, if Hoosiers come out today and vote, if you pick up the phone and you call your friends, you call your neighbors, if Hoosiers come out today and vote and say no, this is not who we are. This is not America. That will change the entire trajectory of this campaign, of this primary. It will pull us back from the cliff. Indiana can do it. Indiana can pull us back, but it takes Hoosiers showing up and voting today. And the country is looking to Indiana, just looking to the judgment of the good men and women of this state. Heidi and I and Carly, we have traveled the state showing Hoosiers respect, asking for their support, answering their questions, all the while Donald Trump laughs at the people of this state. Laughs, bullies, attacks, insults. I don't believe that's America. And it is my hope, it is my prayer that Hoosiers will come out and vote today in record numbers to say to this country, this is not who we are. We are a people who believe in goodness. We are a people who believe in manners. We are a people who believe in generosity. We are a people who believe in honesty. We are a people who believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is America. That is the America I love. It's the America my father fled Cuba to come to. We're fighting for this nation. We're fighting for who we are, for the very soul and character of this nation. And it is quite literally in the hands of Hoosiers across the state.
But what if they don't pick you? What does that say about Indiana?
All right, guys, that's a wrap on that feed that we got in earlier of that Ted Cruz press conference with Carly Fiorina. Today is primary day. You can go ahead and take a live look at a polling place. This live feed coming in from Indiana. One video that a lot of people are talking about is this video of Ted Cruz being confronted by a Trump supporter. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the corner of the screen. Stand by.
And I'm running to be everyone's president. Those who vote for me, even those
We
who
don't want you.
Well, you're entitled to your view, sir, and I will respect it. In fact, I will
Do the
protect.
math.
I will
Now
protect
you ask
your
cases
rights.
to drop out. It's your turn.
Well,
Take your own words.
Now I'm curious, sir.
Time to drop out,
When
sir.
Donald doesn't get to 1237, you're going to call him to drop out?
Donald's definitely going to get to 1237. No, he's going to get more than 1237.
That's a total lie made up by Donald Trump's
Okay,
campaign.
lie, Ted.
No!
Let me ask.
Career politicians have killed America! That was
You are the
career
problem.
politicians!
Let me ask you
You are
something.
the problem,
All right,
politician. You are the problem.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Out of all of the candidates, and a question that everyone here should ask:
Are you Canadian?
Do you want your
Are you
kids?
Canadian?
Do you want your kids repeating the words of Donald Trump? Would you be proud if your kids came home cursing and yelling and insulting? And let me give you an example of Donald's problems with the truth. Yesterday, he was on national television. He was asked about his support from Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist. And his response is, Ted says Tyson's a rapist. That's why we call him Lion Ted. Mike Tyson was convicted by a jury of his peers, served 3 years in prison for rape here in the state of Indiana, and yet Donald screamed, it's a lie to say Mike Tyson is a racist. Sir, facts matter. Truth matters.
Why did you want to be here today?
Because I heard Lion Ted was going to be here, so we had to come represent.
What did you think when he walked over to you?
I was surprised.
Okay, so there you saw it, that clip of Ted Cruz and a Trump fan confronting each other. Let's go ahead and watch it again in case you missed it.
And I'm running to be everyone's president. Those who vote for me, even those
We
who
don't want you.
Well, you're entitled to your view, sir, and I will respect it. In fact, I will
Do the
protect.
math.
I will
You
protect
ask
your
cases
rights.
to drop out. It's your turn.
Well,
take your own words.
Now I'm curious, sir.
Time to drop out.
When
sir.
Donald doesn't get to 12:37, you're going to call him to drop out.
Donald's definitely going to get to 12:37. No, he's going to get more than 12:37.
That's a total lie made up by Donald Trump's campaign. Let me ask.
Career politicians have killed America.
You are the problem.
Let me ask you
You are the
something.
problem,
All right,
politician. You are the problem.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Out of all of the candidates, and a question that everyone here should ask:
Are you Canadian?
Do you want your
Are you
kids?
Canadian?
Do you want your kids repeating the words of Donald Trump? Would you be proud if your kids cursing and yelling and insulting? And let me give you an example of Donald's problems with the truth. Yesterday, he was on national television. He was asked about his support for Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist. And his response is, Ted says Tyson's a rapist. That's why we call him Lion Ted. Mike Tyson was convicted by a jury of his peers, served 3 years in prison for rape here in the state of Indiana, and yet Donald screamed, it's a lie to say Mike Tyson is a racist. Sir, facts matter. Truth matters.
Why did you want to be here today?
Because I heard Lion Ted was going to be here, so we had to come represent.
What did you think when he walked over to you?
I was surprised.
All right, guys, so there was that video. Earlier today, Hillary Clinton spoke in West Virginia. Let's go ahead and put that in the corner now.
She was active in so many things. Theater, she was active in... She protested the Iraq War and let a student walk out at Capitol High School, for which she got suspended 10 days. One of my proudest moments. And Jesse struggled. And what I'm speaking for today is really for the parents. It affects us so much. My wife, Kate, is here with me, and my oldest daughter, Catherine. Last weekend, my oldest daughter, Catherine, got married. Her maid of honor was to be Jesse. Jesse was not able to attend. But what Jesse would want and what Jesse would think was so cool is that even though she did not make it, and her story is a story that could be repeated hundreds and hundreds of times, especially when we're dealing with people who are recovering from addiction and go through programs. Jesse struggled for 7 years. Chelsea, she lived your life. You know, it was the same thing. We experienced that. We were with it with her, taking her to treatment centers, long talks, working with her. And she was on a great path. After she overdosed for the first time last August and almost died, thankfully my wife was there to administer CPR. Police Chief Webster, your folks came quickly and helped save her with naloxone. Because of that, we had 6 more months with Jessie that we would not have had. And they were great months because she was sober and she was working hard. And I think she was so scared because of her overdose that she was turning her life around. But what happened? What happened to her was tragic. She had a running injury that caused a bacterial infection, and she had to go to the hospital. And we're talking about coordination and understanding, you know, the stigma associated with addiction. When she went to the hospital, she told everybody that she was a recovering addict. She told her treating physicians, the orthopedic surgeon, the infectious disease people, everybody was told. We were there with her. We talked at length with them about how long she had been sober, how many times she had been to rehab, 4 times. And we were scared to death about her exposure to opioids. We were scared to death about the fact that because of her bacterial infection, they wanted to put a PICC line in her arm, which was easy access for an addict. We were reassured, and we trusted. And we felt like Jessie was in good hands. But what happened was that the discharging doctor, who was not the treating physician, the discharging doctor who never met Jessie, never talked to Jessie, never spoke with us, he did what he always did. She was 30 years old. She was recovering from surgery. Let's give her 50 oxycodone. Jessie died that night in her sleep. And what we hope will come out of this is something good, something that can change lives and save lives. And I want to thank, first of all, our neighbor, Dr. Christine Jones, who, when she heard of Jessie's death, came across the street. When she heard the circumstances of Jessie's death, she said, "Oh my God, why isn't the same information about recovering addicts and addiction history prominently displayed on the medical records the same way allergies are?" And my wife has an allergy to penicillin. Every time her medical record prints out, right at the top it says allergies, penicillin. Why isn't that? If you voluntarily disclose it and you tell people, "I'm a recovering addict," or "I have an addiction history," it's right there where everybody can see it. That way the discharging doctor would never have been able to miss that. There were all kinds of other things that should have been done at the hospital that weren't done, but the bottom line is that idea planted a seed in my mind, in our family's mind, that maybe we could make a difference and change something. And shortly after that, Senator Manchin called. I served with Senator Manchin in the state Senate. He said he was heartbroken about Jessie's loss and he wanted to do something. And he promised me that day that he would work with me to develop Jessie's Law. And last week he introduced that legislation, and what it will do is make sure that on medical records, always it will be prominently displayed. If you consent to having that information disclosed, it will be there, and we won't have this lack of communication. And so I want to thank Senator Manchin for that leadership, and it's a bipartisan issue. Senator Capito has signed on, has agreed to co-sponsor the legislation. We have other senators all over the country, and I even got a call last week from a member of the House who wants to introduce it in the House. So we are going to get that legislation passed, and it's going to save lives, and Jessie's life is going to have meaning. And I just want to say that, we're so thankful that you're putting your attention and giving your attention. The last time I met you, you were fighting for health care reform in the early 90s, and I was the director of Citizen Action Group and a member of the state Senate, and we were working for the same thing, and I thought for sure we would get that. It took a long time, but we finally got Obamacare, and that was a great step forward. And I think we look about the same in that picture. I think we look almost the same.
Let me just say one thing on David and Kate and the whole family, but I just couldn't imagine. I mean, and what Dave didn't tell you, when President Obama came to the state, knowing that he probably has the least favorability in this state of West Virginia than any state in the nation, and I said this, I thanked him for still coming because he's bringing it to a national level, something that needed to be risen to that level. David and Kate, they were there. Unbeknownst to me, David and I have known each other for a long time. We served together and everything. And he's a great legislator and very articulate and thorough. So when I saw his statement, and I rode on Air Force One back to Washington with President Obama, and I'm telling you, it moved him. It changed him. And they put a face. They put a family. Not a family that was destitute. Not a family that had lost their job and lost their home. Not a family that was broken apart. A solid, all-American family. Then if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. And he saw that, Hillary. It moved him from that, and I appreciate it. What David's not telling you is that we have, people always say, government's too much involved in your life. Well, I agree in so many areas that we are, and we've got to do something. But this is an area where government wasn't involved. Common sense, we thought it would have prevailed. I would have never believed privacy and HIPAA laws would have prevented a family from saying, please stamp my stamp my records so something doesn't happen to me. But we have to pass a piece of legislation to make that common sense procedure happen. Hillary's been in the Senate. She knows how difficult these things are, and it just infuriates you. And what we're doing is West Virginia is putting a face to this absolute epidemic, and it's everywhere. But that's one thing will be done, David. I told you. I predict we'll have that one passed before the end of the year. That's fast tracking, as hard as you believe. That's fast tracking. But thank you, Dave.
Thank you, David. There's also, as we talk about, there's a number of things we can do going forward. For example, when the HMOs, the physicians are writing prescriptions, sometimes they fear that your patient will not rate you high, and you'll get a negative rating if they don't write that prescription. There are those kinds of barriers I think we can and must overcome in order to empower the physicians, empower communities. And I know the Senator has been...
We have legislation on that. We have so many legislations. But we do. This is not it's not one problem here. We've got many problems. What Dr. Gupta is telling you about, I could not believe. I'm up at the Lewis A. Johnson Veterans Administration Hospital, a very, very good hospital for our veterans. What I couldn't understand, I'm on armed services, I couldn't understand why are so many of our veterans unemployed? Why do we have the highest category of American citizens, veterans, unemployed? They got skill sets, they're disciplined, they were addicted. We got them messed up because everybody want to give a pill. You got something wrong? Give you a pill. Got something wrong? Give you a pill. Well, I'm up there and I talked to the lady in substance abuse. She's running a Suboxone clinic. She says, Senator, I'll tell you one thing. If you made sure that the veterans who get mad at me when I don't want to give them what they want aren't able to call your office or call in and complain about us not giving good service, and it gives us downgraded, or if you call a hospital because they always ask you, did they take care of your pain? No, they didn't, because they wouldn't give me what I wanted. So you write them up. So the patients, it's basically the tail wagging the dog. So we're trying to say anybody that's dispensing opiates in any type of a clinical setting or a hospital is not going to be rated on customer satisfaction. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because you cannot satisfy an addict. Am I right, Chelsea?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's common sense.
And I think that's a way in which we're altering and changing things. And one of the other ways is obviously law enforcement. So I want to make sure that Chief has an opportunity to talk about how Charleston Police, under his leadership, and the mayor have really led a change in mindset of the police force when it comes to dealing with these challenges.
Well, everybody here's covered it very well, so I have it easy. But I think, and I was fortunate to be part of a panel last fall that Senator Manchin's talking about with President Obama. And I think law enforcement has to change its focus. We attack the supply side very well. We always have. I think Charleston does an outstanding job, and I'm sure other agencies do as well, going after the violent, the crimes, the drug dealers. We do the best we can to keep drugs from coming into our city. But, excuse me, but what happens, I think, a lot of times is the addicts are treated as criminals. And if they're breaking in homes, there's no question that's a crime. If they're robbing people, there's no question that's a crime. But there are so many nuisance crimes associated with addiction, and I think the mindset has to change with our officers. And I believe it is in Charleston to where we are starting to try to address the demand side, try to be involved in that aspect of it and trying to recognize that people need help. We have prostitutes that come up to our street crimes officers and they want treatment. I need treatment. And last year when I was on the panel, they asked me before I was on the panel, they said, if you were going to ask for one thing as a police chief, what would you ask for? And I said I would ask for, we need treatment facilities. We need access to, and my law enforcement brethren, a lot of them I'm sure were like, no, we need more cops and we need more law enforcement funds, and we do need that. We do. We'll take that. We'll take that. But I see it, and when we started administering Narcan, the nasal naloxone, that was a culture change with our department because a lot of officers didn't understand why they should be doing it. But when I went to the roll calls and asked them questions, I said, well, it's really like administering first aid. But I said, has anybody in here had someone addicted, or a friend of yours or a family member? And I've yet to go to a roll call where one or two officers didn't raise their hands and say, yes, I've had a sister who's overdosed, or I've had a family member, some had said passed away. And so we're doing some things in Charleston a little bit different. We're doing the drug marketing intervention, which began down in North Carolina, I believe at High Point, and that's in conjunction with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and where we target what we call an A-list, and those are the violent, oftentimes out-of-town criminals that come in and sell their drugs, and we go after them, and we look for really stiff sentences, and we're getting those. But then we establish a B-list, and those people come from our community, and they're addicts, and they may be creating some nuisance-type crimes, but they need help. And if they have a support system, we identify that support system, and we get them help. And the recovery rate, the reoffending rate goes down. Sometimes they'll reoffend. They have to agree to drug testing. That's a great program. We're going to be in our third call in soon. And then also we're working with the LEAD program, the law enforcement. It's law enforcement assistance diversity, I believe. And that's what we do when we do these drug sweeps. We don't do as many as we used to. But when we do those, we tell someone that you can either go to jail based on what we're looking at your charge, or you can go to immediate help. And usually Prestera is a mental health service here, and they're waiting right there. And if they'll take us up on that and they'll go into that or into a drug court, they have a chance. And so the officers are starting to understand that we're just not supply anymore. We're just not supply side. Let's try to get people where they need to go and because if we can do that, like Chelsea, they're going to be productive. They're not going to be breaking into homes. They're going to be allies of ours on the street, and our calls will go down, and we can focus on the more violent things that go on in our communities. So that's what I have to say in this time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
So, one of the things that we certainly, West Virginia's done a lot of innovative things, like this session allowing naloxone to be available by dispensing pharmacists or pharmacy interns. Obviously, when we talk about recovery centers and we talk about treatment, one of the most important part of the chief mentioned supply side, there's a challenge with the demand side. And I think we've seen some of the data from AMA that our prescription pills have gone down about 17% last year, prescribing of which. But obviously the demand continues. So it's a much larger, we believe, socioeconomic, academic, educational, broader front, and being able to give people the workforce training and retraining requirement. So we'd just like to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, first, I am really so grateful to everyone on this panel for not only sharing your stories, but for what you're doing, because you really are on the front lines of trying to figure out how we deal with this epidemic and create many more opportunities for early intervention, for diversion, for second chance programs. And I appreciate what the judge said, because it's not clear what works with whom. Because sometimes tough love, hearing that jail door slam behind you and dropping to your knees works. Sometimes getting into the right recovery and treatment program right off the bat works. I mean, we have got to try a lot of different approaches, which is what I'm hearing from the panelists, because we've got to be really focused on doing the best job we can to, fit individuals into these various approaches. But I think we know a couple of things. We need drug courts everywhere. We need recovery and treatment programs everywhere. We need law enforcement leaders like the chief everywhere who understand that we cannot arrest and incarcerate our way out of this problem. We need focus on children. The Handle with Care approach is so incredibly smart, because we've got to get back to, my belief, it takes a village. And it takes a village to handle with care our own children and other children who are vulnerable and at risk. It takes much stronger emphasis, as David was pointing out, on what's happening at the medical end of this, what information and what responses are appropriate. And it does take a statewide perspective, even though you've got to get down to the local level. And the encouraging news is that conversations like this are beginning to really take place in so many different communities. Getting Narcan in a nasal approach, a nasal administration, is something that my husband worked really hard on after we lost our friend's child, the young man I was telling you about. That family, just like David's family, said, we've got to do something. And we focused on working with the FDA and working with drug companies to get a much bigger supply, to get it into pharmacies, to get it available, because it does save lives. It will prevent people from dying if they get the administration early. That's why police officers, firefighters, EMTs, resident advisors in colleges and universities, it has to be as ubiquitous as possible, because this problem is so pervasive and we never know who's going to be affected by it. And then Senator Manchin's leadership on the national level, bringing the president here. I mean, that did not happen by accident. That happened because of your very persistent senator making...
All right, guys, we're going to interrupt that pre-recorded Hillary Clinton event. That was her speaking in West Virginia earlier this morning, because I'm joined by the one and only Ron Hoon, and today's a big day.
Yes.
Today is primary day
Yes.
in Indiana, and of course, I need our resident political expert.
Thank you,
to
SK.
join me.
Thank you
This
very
is
much.
important.
It is really a big day. It's sink or swim time for Ted Cruz. Now, my understanding was he made, I don't know if it was a fundraising letter or something, but he had made the statement that got out there that if I can't win in Indiana, Trump's going to be the guy. And then once that got out there and became public, he said, no, we're going to take this fight all the way to the nomination. I do think that some comments are being made right now, specifically for the consumption of Indiana voters, probably based on political advice from the handlers that these guys have.
Right.
Because Bernie Sanders, Samia, coming out of New York, all of a sudden started to sound like, well, it's important that we take our platform to the convention so that it can be as liberal as possible, something to that effect. Then a couple days later, he's ripping Hillary for all the superdelegates that basically have, for his supporters, made it seem to be a very unfair competition.
Right, you explained it last week in a video that you and I did together.
I did. Oh, that's right.
You mentioned how it's basically like you and I, we're going to race somewhere.
Yeah.
Except you get to start
Correct.
way further than I get to start.
Like
so it's not even fair. And I don't run fast, guys.
I know. So you're Bernie in this instance,
Yes.
and we're both starting at Central Avenue, and I said, I'll race you to the TV studio, which we're on 5th Avenue at Washington. So then I said, but give me a minute here, because I'm going to start the race with a huge lead, and I'll be starting at 2nd Avenue, and we'll see who wins. The whole system is just, I think about all the people that donated to Bernie Sanders and all the people that showed up for his rallies and have been so passionate to know how stacked against him this whole process was. You would think would really be frustrating to a lot of his supporters.
It would be frustrating, and I think a lot of his supporters, we posted that video, we asked the supporters, should Bernie run as an independent? Surprisingly, there were a lot of people who wanted Bernie to run as an independent.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of people.
And as I said, I think I might have even mentioned it to you. I know I said it to a couple of people in the newsroom. When Trump made that suggestion about 2 weeks ago that Bernie needs to run as an independent, the light bulb went off over my noggin, and I realized that man, Bernie Sanders, holds the entire election in his hands. Hillary Clinton's going to do what she's going to do. Donald Trump is going to do what he's going to do. But if Bernie Sanders runs as an independent, he will cost Hillary Clinton the election. There's no doubt about it. And it's the only scenario.
Who's going to win it then? Do you think Trump will win it if he runs, or do you think Bernie has a shot?
Probably because Bernie would have a
in
shot.
a three. I mean, if
Yeah.
there's Bernie,
Yeah.
Hillary, and
Yeah.
Trump,
Right.
do you think Bernie has
I
a
think
shot?
Bernie would have a shot because he would pull so much away from Hillary. And remember, SK was at Michigan, I think it was, because they have an open primary where you and I actually heard from people who were saying, "I'm trying to decide between Bernie and Trump."
I believe that.
Because
I
they are
believe
the
that.
two true outsiders.
Right.
And they are the two who are speaking to people who are frustrated about the continual loss of jobs in this country to overseas.
Right, and some people, some viewers out there might be like, how can you choose between Trump and Sanders? Aren't they two completely different people?
Mhm.
You know what? I think they appeal to similar groups.
Oh.
You know, yes, Sanders, some would describe Bernie Sanders as a socialist.
Yes, right?
And some would
Yeah. Some would say he's
describe
almost-
Donald Trump as, I don't know. I don't really know what word to describe
A
Donald
businessman.
Trump. A businessman, sure, because I feel like there are certain Republicans that would be offended if I called Donald Trump as conservative.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Like Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is calling
You know?
him a New York liberal. He said you're going to have an election between two New York liberals.
Right. Let's just say that the people that attend Donald Trump events and the people who attend Bernie Sanders events
Yeah.
are a bit different. At least the
there's no doubt.
stereotype
Yeah,
of those
sure.
who attend each
Sure,
event.
sure. And that's the problem if he runs as an independent. Where is the passion in the party? It really is with young people.
Mm-hmm.
For the Democrats, it really is with young people who are justifiably so frustrated with what's happened to college cost, college education,
Right.
the fact that you're saddled with student loan debt for the rest of your life. As the whole business of student loans ballooned and it became easier and easier for people to take on debt, the colleges turned around and every year they kept jacking up the tuition because they're like, oh, we can raise the rates like crazy, because people can mortgage it now like they can mortgage a house.
And you have to consider my generation, the millennial generation. We were taught growing up that we're supposed to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So when that's ingrained in you
Yep.
over the years,
I know.
you turn 18 or it's your senior year in high school and you just assume that's the path you're going on.
You're
You've
right.
been working throughout high school to get you into the right college.
Sure.
And they don't really talk about the cost of college when they're training you to get into college.
I
And that's the thing. And if we had a choice in high school,
Yeah.
I don't know if as many students would be attending college
Mhm.
in this day and age,
Right.
given the cost and given the fact that there's so many people out there that are successful without even attending college.
SK, I mean, a generation ago when I was going to school, it literally was workable. And the whole idea of student loans was really barely even out there. This was just in the 70s. And basically the deal that you had with the education system was that you could work during the summer
Right.
and make enough money to pay for the next year's tuition.
And that's what Hillary Clinton is presenting. That's part of her platform. She's
Yeah.
saying we don't want to give away free college. We want
Right.
people to work their way
Right.
through college,
Right.
but in a system similar to what you described.
I know. See,
Because I think she's pulling from her own experiences as well during a similar time.
But Marco Rubio had a similar platform regarding reaching out to disaffected young students or those who are already saddled with debt and are trying to work their way into the working world. But he didn't connect with it. And Hillary Clinton might connect with people, but this is not a very cerebral election cycle. It's just not.
It's just different.
It is way different. People love going to those Trump rallies and chanting.
I think it's a social
lying
event.
Ted,
I
lying
honestly
Ted.
think for some people it's a social event. For
Yeah.
some people it's just to be a part of an experience. You're interacting with people. Maybe they don't get out a lot. I want to give a shout out to Joe Foley who just gave you a shout out, Hooner.
Mhm.
Joe Foley, really excited to see you on the show today.
Mhm.
One of our viewers out in the UK.
Thank you, Joe. And anytime you put about 8 O's in Hooner, I'm all over it. I actually had somebody today, Joe, I don't think it was you, who I was live Facebook mentions in our 6 a.m. hour, and somebody said, miss the chat box. Well, the system now is that you can tweet directly with us the whole time we're on the air.
I got a message today as well. Is the chat room ever coming back? I said, probably not,
Yeah.
which is sad.
But it's working okay.
But we have
like
Twitter.
this. Right.
You guys can always tweet me. My Twitter handle's there. I have TweetDeck in front of me, so your tweets just pop up like that. I can monitor it all.
Yeah. Well, so we just ended up tape recording a thing. It's usually around 10 a.m. when we tape our new segment that we do. What do we call it? The social media
Squabble is what you call it.
Social media squabble. I like that name. Anyway, we tape it, and then later in the day, the two of us will get into a topic, and it goes onto the Facebook page. And today we were talking about whether or not it was a huge mistake for Ted Cruz, who I will give him credit. He walked into the Lion's Den, and
Lion's Den?
Oh! He walked into the Lion Ted Den. No, he walked into the Lion's Den, and he kept his cool. He was determined that he was going to keep it on an even keel, because if he'd hauled off...
Well, he can't lose it either, because there's a million cameras tuning in, and if he lost it, that would be the headline everywhere.
Sure.
It would not be a good look for Ted Cruz.
Would it, or would it not? If he hauled off and punched the guy?
Oh, that would be really bad for your campaign.
Well, hold on. Let's think about
Physical altercations are not going to help your campaign.
All right, fine. Well, anyway.
It would I mean, you can get arrested for assault.
Yeah.
That would be a bad situation for Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I know. But anyway.
What do you guys think? Should Ted Cruz have punched the guy? You tell me.
He totally kept his cool. Even when the guy was laying down insults like, well, we know your wife works for Goldman Sachs. Where's her fancy?
Should we show them? Let's
Some
show
of this
them.
showdown? Oh, you've got it. Look at you. You have it so
Oops.
handy.
We don't want
Let's listen to what it is.
You're entitled to your view, sir, and I will respect it. In fact, I
Do
will
the
protect.
math.
I will
When
protect
you ask
your
cases
rights.
to drop out, it's your turn.
Well,
Take your own words.
now I'm curious, sir.
Time to drop out,
When
sir.
Donald doesn't get to 12:37, you're going to call him to drop out.
Donald's definitely going to get to 12:37. No, he's going to get more than 12:37.
That's a total lie made up by Donald Trump's
Okay, lie,
campaign.
Ted.
Let me ask.
Career politicians have killed America.
You are the problem.
Let me ask you
You are the
something.
problem,
All right,
politician. You are the problem.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Out of all of the candidates, and a question that everyone here should ask:
Are you Canadian?
Do you want your
Are you
kids?
Canadian?
Do you want your kids repeating the words of Donald Trump? Would you be proud if your kids cursing and yelling and insulting? And let me give you an example of Donald's problems with the truth. Yesterday, he was on national television. He was asked about his support for Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist. And his response is, Ted says Tyson's a rapist. That's why we call him Lion Ted. Mike Tyson was convicted by a jury of his peers, served 3 years in prison for rape here in the state of Indiana, and yet Donald screamed, it's a lie to say Mike Tyson is a racist. Sir, facts matter. Truth matters.
Why did you want to be here today?
Because I heard Lion Ted was going to be here, so we had to come represent.
What did you think when he walked over to you?
I was surprised.
Obamas are staying in D.C. for 2 years after the president leaves office.
He's about to go from commander-in-chief to couch commander.
You, Chuck Todd. What am I going to do in D.C. for 2 years?
You got a real dilemma, Mr. President.
I can't golf every day, can I?
Which you like better, these or these?
Joe, they're the same.
They capture different moods.
Joe, I need some focus here.
Comes in there during aviator time, thinks everything.
I'm sorry, what's that?
The Obamas are staying in D.C. for 2 years after the president leaves office.
He's about to go from commander-in-chief to couch commander.
You, Chuck Todd. What am I going to do in D.C. for 2 years?
You got a real dilemma, Mr. President.
I can't golf every day, can I?
Which you like better, these or these?
Joe, they're the same.
They capture different moods.
Joe, I need some focus here.
Comes in there during aviator time, thinks everything.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said, Mr. President, you had to be practical. And look, you can drive again. You're going to need a license. You love sports. Why don't you volunteer to work for one of the teams around here?
Is this the Washington Wizards? I understand you're looking for some coaching help. Let's just say I coached my daughter's team a few times. Hello? Hello? Finally. So I'm going to be in D.C. for a while, and I thought I'd take up driving again.
What's the name?
Barack Hussein Obama.
Yikes. Well, since you don't have a driver's license, you're gonna need a birth certificate.
Really?
Really.
It's real.
Is it?
It's real.
But is it?
Oh, Michelle left her phone. Let's see here. Huh. She's got Snapchat. Obamacare is great, and it's really working. Sign up now.
Breaking news.
Michelle Obama in hot water after posting this video earlier today.
Obamacare is great, and it's really working. Sign up now.
No?
No.
Did it get a lot of views at least?
Honey, enough. Why don't you just talk to somebody who's been through this? I gotta go to Soul Cycle.
She's right. I know who I need to talk to. Hey, it's Barack. Listen, can we get together? Now that is a great movie.
Yeah, it gets me every time.
So long, partner. So, you got any advice for me?
So now you want my advice? First, stop sending me all these LinkedIn requests. And second, here's the beauty of this whole thing. You've got all the time in the world to figure this out. You can just be you for a while. If you know how to do that again.
So I can just be me. And I can wear my mom jeans in peace. I hate these tight jeans.
Good. Yesterday, I had a beer at 11:30 in the morning. And you know, McDonald's now serves breakfast all day long.
You know, Michelle's going to be at spin class, so she'll never know.
Right. Let it go. You know, it won't be long. You'll be able to walk right out of the Oval Office singing zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. And you got plenty of time to work on your tan. And you know what? I finally got the grand bargain on a sweet Chevy Tahoe. Look here. Look here. Yeah, you want one?
Breaking news, former President Barack Obama on his 347th round of golf for the year, and it's totally great. And Gloria, not a problem for anybody.
I can't think of a reason to care, Wolf, and believe me, I've tried.
So there, guys.
That was funny.
I love that video. I still wanted to make it our video for tomorrow. It's still our topic of the week.
Yeah.
I still think people will enjoy it. I think there's a lot of people out there who still haven't seen it. But look, John Boehner and Barack Obama can work together.
Yeah. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how many deals they actually might have come together on if it wasn't for Ted Cruz.
Of great tie-in.
Well,
you're right.
I
Ted
mean,
Cruz is the problem.
That's the backstory.
And
that's what Boehner's saying.
according to Boehner, he is
Lucifer in the flesh. Now, is this another White House video?
They used to make a lot of videos on their YouTube, on their Facebook page. Honestly, I think working in the video department of the White House.
Yeah, that would be cool.
How fun does that look?
I know.
Like, okay, we're gonna make this video. We just gotta call up Wolf Blitzer, Kristen Welker.
Sure.
We're gonna hit up. Let's see if John Boehner's free.
You're in a
It's
position where
amazing.
100% of your phone calls get returned. It's like when Carrie Lake got her phone call. Well, I think I'll return that one. to the White House. So, by the way, I sent Carrie a Facebook message the night before. She's like, "What should I ask?" I'm got a little butterflies going here. I'm like, just whatever happens, do not accept the position if it is offered to you as White House press secretary.
Oh no, she was meeting with Josh Earnest. That would be really awkward if Josh Earnest was there and Obama was like, you know what, I'm a little tired of Josh. Let's just.
I know. But when the
Get
two of
Carrie Lake up
them,
in here.
or when it was just the president and Carrie, you
might
think he
have-
wasn't thinking that? You think he wasn't thinking in his mind, you know, Josh could go any day now. I could still have somebody like Carrie Lake, smart, good looking, politically
smart.
astute.
I think some people find Josh Earnest attractive.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, Kay.
I know people
You're gonna
that
have
are
to walk
fans
that
of
back.
Josh Earnest.
You are going to have to walk
I know
that
people
back.
who work in this newsroom that may have a little bit of a crush on Josh
Really?
Earnest. I'm
Name
not going to
10.
call out the individual that knows she has a crush on Josh Earnest. Just know
Okay.
that someone here in this newsroom does indeed find Josh Earnest to be attractive.
All right. I think that this commentary that we just have wrapped up now, is this live, by the way, with Josh?
It is.
Okay, maybe we listen for a minute, but I think this commentary we just did was way, way better than the commentary we did going into the White House video.
The video commentary
because
that had
our
no
mics
mic
weren't
on.
Oops.
Look, guys.
Hey.
It's really chaotic up here.
Yo, it's
lots of buttons.
it's
to
such
push.
chaos.
Oh, by the way, can I show you this cool shot of DC? We don't normally ever get this shot from DC.
Ooh, they super widened out.
Yeah.
That's quite a picture.
Look at that. The Washington Monument, the White House, and the clouds. I think the key thing to notice is the cloudy day. I know that it was raining heavily yesterday. Carrie Lake out there doing live shots for us after her interview with Obama, and you could hear the rain pouring behind her. So you can see the clouds in the sky, get a feel for exactly what the weather is like out
You know
there.
what's funny is coming from the great Northwest. I remember when, as a kid, I think I was 11 years old. 11. Anyway, and we made a family trip to Washington. I couldn't believe there was a city that could rain that hard as one afternoon in Washington, D.C. And I'm saying I came from the Northwest.
From one Washington to another.
Ba-da-ba-da-da. All right, I got to go to my meeting.
All right, thanks for hanging.
Sure.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and take you guys to Josh Earnest live from the White House press briefing room.
He's not very attractive, but there you go.
That's mean. We're going to go ahead and listen to Josh Earnest, and in just a couple minutes, we will have a very, very special guest joining me right here on News Now. His name is Buckets from the Harlem Globetrotters. Stay tuned, guys.
Strategy has been to work through the UN-led process to support the efforts of the UN envoy, Mr. de Mistura, as he tries to bring both sides to the table. The United States has reached out directly to our allies that have influence with opposition figures, and there's been some direct work that we've done with opposition groups as well to persuade them to abide by the cessation of hostilities and come to the table for political talks. We've also, worked through the Russians to persuade the Assad regime to live up to the commitments that they've made as well, and that's our strategy, and it's one that provided a path to the successful implementation, the largely successful implementation of a cessation of hostilities earlier this year. We're trying to get back to that point. Okay. Michelle.
Thanks, Josh. When the ceasefire first was agreed upon, administration officials said that this would be a big test for Russia. to see if they're serious about this and will follow through. And at that time, the ceasefire was going better than expected. It was just, a short time into it. So now that it's frayed, and now that we're seeing so many serious violations by the Assad regime, and you keep mentioning that Russia should have this influence over them, would you say that Russia has passed this test or not?
Well, I think it is fair to say that the Russians have previously been successful in persuading the Assad regime to abide by the cessation of hostilities. And it's clear they just need to do that again. They've done it once before, even earlier this year. So they have the capacity to do it. And we're hopeful that they will.
Do they deserve some of the blame for the fraying and the state that things are in now?
Well, I think as is clear from Roberta's line of questioning, both sides have contributed to the escalation of violence in and around Aleppo. Look, when you have government forces that are under the command and control of the central government, when you have government forces that have much more firepower than opposition fighters on the ground, there's a significant responsibility that is borne by the government when it comes to living up to commitments that they have made in the context of a cessation of hostilities. So we're concerned about the escalation of violence, and there has been violence carried out by both sides. But we're going to go back to both sides and urge them to live up to the commitments that they previously made, even just a couple of months ago.
Are you satisfied with Russia's level of cooperation so far?
Well, we certainly believe that there's more that Russia can and should do. Russia has succeeded in their efforts in the past to play an important role in the largely successful implementation of a cessation of hostilities. The Russian government is a democracy. And the president has acknowledged that he has not always lived up to the high standard that he has set for himself. But I think over the last 8 or 9 years, this president has done an extraordinary